Hello, everybody. My name is Shonali. I work at 𝗦𝗲𝗍𝗲. Welcome to this session, which is a first in what we hope will be a series of engagements with educators across the country. Thank you all for joining us and taking time out today. We know there's a lot of many other things happening, but it's nice to have this chance to engage with the theme of nature education to celebrate the World Environment Day today. So we have my colleagues here, which I've already said, but I'll mention again. We have Abhisheka, Garima, Rutuja, and Misha. So please, we have about 1 hour for this session. Yeah, we have an hour-long session plan with our speakers, and we'll just get right to it. So let me just, so for those of you who are joining us as part of our network, you may already know a little bit about 𝗦𝗲𝗍𝗲 and what we do. But those of you who are new to 𝗦𝗲𝗍𝗲's work, let me just tell you a little bit about our work. So at 𝗦𝗲𝗍𝗲, we're a non-profit, and we basically want to make birds and bird watching accessible to everybody. And we find that birds is a great way to connect children to nature and take their first step into just understanding and observing the natural world. Because we believe it's very important for individuals and communities to have this healthy relationship with nature, and birds are exciting and all around us. So it's easy to do that. As 𝗦𝗲𝗍𝗲, we do three main things. One is we have a whole range of learning tools in many Indian languages, which are all available on our website. And I'm sure you can find something in your language, or a resource in your language to help with your work. We also engage educators in training to help them bring birds and nature into their classrooms, or to take their classrooms outside, and not just with teachers, with various kinds of educators like naturalists, or it could be a parent who's homeschooling their child. So we do engage with educators in a big way as well. And today's session is part of the work that we do with a group, our group of birding buddies, who are educators from across India, who we have worked with and have attended a workshop that we called How to Be a Birding Buddy. This is something that we have done offline, and now we have adapted to online, which is basically, as I said, capacity and skill building for educators to use nature and birds in their teaching. We also have something called a handbook for bird educators. You see a little snippet of it on the side. It's a collection, it's a very nicely illustrated and lively book that is a collection of tips and tricks and ideas, projects, activities on how to engage children and young people using birds and nature, and especially from an Indian context. Yeah, all of these resources are available on our website, and we hope that you will find what you're looking for on there. Through our Birding Buddy workshops, which we have done 15 of so far, we have engaged with about 450 educators, and we do this by collaborating with groups and individuals across India, as well as like-minded organizations who share our objectives for nature education. Yeah, so like I said, this is the first in what we hope will be a few more sessions on nature education. And so please stay tuned, and we plan to do thematic stuff. We plan to do sessions where we exchange ideas, have discussions, and we hope to create a space where we can collaborate, exchange ideas and experiences, and grow stronger as a community for nature education in India, and especially bird education. So today we have with us, for the session on community building, 3 speakers. We have Selva Ganesh from Coimbatore, Nobina Gupta from West Bengal, and Maxim Rodrigues, who works in and around Kerala. They have been doing some very impressive work in community building using various tools to engage children and youth and adults as well, using nature and birds. And we're really excited to have a conversation with them about how they use nature education to build strong communities and tightly knit communities. I will open out the floor for them to introduce themselves through a few pictures about their work. Here we have Selva Ganesh.
Hi everyone, I'm Selva Ganesh. Is it audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm Selva Ganesh from Coimbatore. I am a school teacher This is my picture from my school. The first picture is taken when we are watching a great hornbill nest, the famous great hornbill image everybody will come and take in Valparaiso near the tea shop. That bird we saw. So what we are doing in my school is we started bird watching around 2015 in my school. And now it's been nearly 6 years. We have continuously watching the birds. So I started my bird watching in 2012. Then I moved to Valparai. There I started watching birds. Then slowly my students get interested with me. So after that, I was taking them along with me for birding. So there it started. Now I am moving into another school. It was in Coimbatore town. Still, I am in touch with my students, and they are also in my absence. Also, they are watching birds, which I never imagined, but it's happening. That's what from my introduction. And now in Coimbatore, we are organizing a lot of bird workshops and bird watching, bird walks. And we are currently engaging with Coimbatore City Bird Atlas, which we are doing. I think I'm handing over my introduction to the other speakers.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about this picture and the story? Oh,
So this one, we welcomed the grey wagtail by sticking posters. In this image is my student Baiju. So what we did earlier this year, we welcomed the wagtail's arrival by giving sweets to the students. Because what we thought is we have to make the people more curious about birds. So if you are simply giving a talk for 50 minutes or 1 hour about birds, they will forget the next moment they are gone out of the room. So what we did in our area, our school, we gave the students laddus, and we gave the laddu for all the kids. So they know that they will go, somebody will pack that sweet to the home, and the people from their house ask why you are, how you got the sweet. So they are telling that we got this for welcoming the bird. So like that, the common people and the people from the local areas will know there is a bird, small bird, which is coming regularly from the Himalayas to our region. So like that, we want to give awareness to the people. So this is in the next following year, me and my students are discussing how to celebrate the arrival this year. So we collectively came to a plan to stick up posters, welcoming posters in Tamil and English in and around Valparai. So it got a lot of response from the public. They're asking what is it and why you are pasting like that. So now I guess more people in Valparai might know about the wagtail. You may ask why wagtail? Because wagtail is a very common migrant. You can easily spot in a roadside or a roof of a house. So that's it from this image.
thank you, Selva Ganesh. And he's being modest. Actually, the wagtail story became quite iconic and people everywhere knew. And now the whole community makes it an annual ritual to welcome the migrants and the wagtails to their community every year. And it's a very cool phenomenon that they've started. Thank you, Selva Ganesh. Now we have Nobina, who will tell us a little bit about her work.
Hello, I'm Nobina. I am basically an artist who is also an educator and researcher. I work in East Kolkata Wetlands, which is at the periphery of city Kolkata. It's around 12,500 hectares of wetlands, which is the largest Swedish-fed wetlands in the world. And it's interesting that when we started the work in the wetlands, we started working with 2 schools. And here you see one school, which is the Kyada High School, where we've started these nature education workshops and trails and also programs where we try to engage them into the environment that is existing around them, because Disciplining Dialogues, the organization which I founded, works on ecologically fragile areas where we see something is at the verge of disappearance and needs to be restored for the future generation. And East Kolkata wetland being a wetlands which is being encroached every day, and there's the biodiversity is being lost. We thought that this would be a nice initiative to start bird education programs within the schools. And above you can see even Shonali is there in the team. She'd come in and as a expert, she visited East Kolkata wetlands, and we talked about the birds. And it's nice to have these kind of exchange programs where we invite experts from different areas to talk about small elements which exist in the environment and which go unnoticed, which go unrecognized and are lost forever. And next, please. So it's a series of programs that's been running for last 5 years. And here you'll see that we're doing programs on archiving the biodiversity, the different species that are there. So usually when we used to talk in the schools, we didn't get responses. So we started doing all our programs in the wetlands, walking around the space, and they would come up with small details, something like a medicinal plant or something like a aromatic like herb, which was used for different kinds of purpose. And then we would relate how it is related to the other elements, the non-human elements, maybe the insects, the birds, the bees, the butterflies, or the birds. So it's interesting to see that how they are developing this interconnectivity around their space. And this is Birdwatcher Society from Kolkata, with whom we took the children out for a field trip, and they were amazed to see these birds. Next slide. This is because being an artist myself, I always feel that art has the power, art or even performance has the power to connect to different elements, which at times, the scientific data really can't do. So somewhere art and performance and different kinds of modes have been a very important part of our programs. And it's nice to see that how earlier when the children would draw posters or things, that would really miss out a lot of things. But now whenever they are coming up with any visuals or any activity, there is so much knowledge ingrained in it. And I think that's where we are happy that with the programs, we are hopefully progressing day by day and trying to instill a kind of a pride and ownership among the students in the wetlands. I think let's keep the introductions brief. And
Thank you, Nobina. Yeah, the communities that she's a part of and the activities that Nobina is leading in the East Kolkata wetlands are truly a joy to watch, because these young girls are making up skits about the local birds, and they're making up dances and songs and poems about the birds that they see around them. And yeah, that's absolutely great to watch. Thank you so much for joining us. Now we have Maxim from who's from Kasaragod and does work in Kerala, and he does so many things I would not know where to begin in to list all of the things that Maxim does. So I'll allow him to tell us himself. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Maxim Rodrigues and I'm from Kasaragod, Kerala. It was in 2015 I got introduced to eBird and I became more serious about contribution to conservation of birds. I was impressed by the quantity and extent of data that could be gathered through citizen science. I believe in teamwork and introducing more people into these platforms and also in long-run efforts. That's how I started Kasaragod Birders. It's a community of birders and other wildlife enthusiasts. We set out to put all the people who work closely with nature under one roof so that more relationship and work could be done, resulting in greater conservation outcomes. From 2017, we introduced 𝗂𝗲𝗿𝗀 Bird Festival, an annual event in the village of 𝗂𝗲𝗿, which is now known as 𝗂𝗲𝗿 Bird Village. The continuous effort here to conserve the typical lateritic and other ecosystem resulted in the renaming of a road to orange-crested green pigeon road and the banning of a mining quarry in the village. We try to build a good relationship with various departments and institutions. I believe we should fall in love with the nature to conserve. I only cannot do much for conservation. That is something what it made me to think, talk about nature with others, and I found the best is to start from the kids. That what motivated me to go to different schools and organize many programs. Please change the slide. Children can become citizen scientists through nature camps, field notes, writing, habitat exploration, citizen science promotion and participation, and a variety of experience such as frogging and herping that are rarely offered in camps. Skill development through our nature camps are always on my mind. Writing, blogging, public speaking, leadership, capacity building, and coordination are just a few examples. We were able to accomplish this with the help of many people in Kasaragod, where preparations were made for field and classroom sessions, residential camps at students' homes, and attempt to involve parents. Please change the slide. The major outcomes from the nature camps are biodiversity surveys, conservation of nests, active participation by kids in projects like Kasaragod Birders, and contribution to eBird and iNaturalist. We need conservationists from all walks of life, not only those who work in the field of wildlife. Campus bird counts were actively done in the last couple of years in Kasaragod, where the initiatives were taken by various school teachers and birders in the district. They visited different schools and conducted bird watching programs. We have a lot of connections with the student community, and they give us photos of species they have photographed or call us when a rescue is required. Rescue activities provide an excellent opportunity to educate people about various useful information. Other projects involving the general public include the conservation of natural ponds in the lateritic midlands, where we attempted to communicate with the public and educate them of the importance of preserving them. It's also vital to have a media partnership in order to promote various projects and activities so that the general public is aware of them and may participate. The Parava birders in Kasaragod are one of the best instances of team working towards developing pro-environmental behaviors among children through nature education, having formed their own team for bird watching and other activities. They go birding on a weekly basis, and a few students keep notebooks, which motivates us much. Kerala Young Birders is a WhatsApp group which has a few young nature enthusiastic students from all around Kerala, and we promote bird watching and citizen science by having discussions based on their sightings. I'm confident that at least a few of them will go on to be outstanding leaders in the future, particularly in the subject of conservation. Thank you. Sonal, you are mute.
Thank you, Maxim. So thank you all for introducing yourself, and we're really excited to talk about your profiles and your wide range of work. I'm just going to pause my sharing. So we have a few questions prepared for our speakers, and we hope that way we can get to know their work better, after which we will open out the discussion and in a question and answer round with the audience. So yeah, you can hope you'll stick around for that. So I would like to begin with asking a question that may seem simple, but I think it is definitely a big challenge for a lot of educators. And even I would like to know, because you'll have built such vibrant communities using your nature education work. How do you go? So for most educators, birding or bird watching is a short-term activity. It's like a walk that you go to the lake or to the forest or around the park in your neighborhood. So how do you go from this short-term activity to engaging with young people in the long term and sustaining that engagement so as to build such an active community in the places where you work? For example, Nobina, your work is so deeply anchored in the lives and livelihoods of the villages of the East Kolkata wetlands. So could you tell us a little bit on how you do this?
Yeah, basically, like we started our nature education program where birding became a very important aspect, because wetlands, of course, are visited by so many birds, and so many of them are migratory birds also. So with in the process, we started observing the birds, and it was nice to really go into and see and we realized that the community at times doesn't understand the importance of these birds within the ecosystem, and how do their daily life, their practices, in the ecological like balance is maintained by these birds. So that was one basic thing that we wanted to, them to connect to, and the children were the source of extending knowledge. So through them, we started doing these birding trails where they would find out, so we are trying to archive this knowledge which exists within the community, and they started asking questions among the community people and looking for answers around that. So this connectivity is one thing that we're trying to bridge up, the gap of recognition, the gap of knowledge, and the gap of acknowledgement. So, somehow this is an important effort. And as well as we're trying to record the real-time stories that exist there, because there are a lot of stories which are surrounded around birds and nature which exist in wetlands and other spaces, but then those stories are never heard, especially stories told through their voices. So we're trying to, so recently we've been putting up some stories with People's Archive of Rural in India, PADI, and that's how I think we're trying to build the long-term impact of archiving the biodiversity, the relationship, the ecological relationships, as well as value the practices that are existing there.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And a lot of ideas have emerged from the young people that you work with themselves as you do it. So,
and then I should definitely mention that the resources that Early Bird has or Nature Conservation Foundation has, I think those have been a big help, because at times we don't everyone doesn't have the knowledge of how we should articulate what we are seeing and how should we connect knowledge to the practices that are existing there. And I think these resources are wonderful to bridge that together.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Something a little bit about Nobina that may be interesting is that actually, I think it was maybe a little less than a year ago when she contacted us, and actually she's not from a birding background, but just in the span of a few months, with just making the right connection with other educators and just out of her own interest, she's made birders out of maybe not even herself, but definitely the community in which she works. And they're creating such unique materials about the birds around them that we hope that we can, Nobina, you will share it with the people here, and we can share some links to those resources as well that's coming out of your community.
Definitely. And I think there's one thing that I would correct here, that I didn't make them anything. I just made them aware of what they knew. So I think that's the most important thing. At times we are not aware of the knowledge that we have, especially in communities. And I think all of those who work in communities here, who are the panelists in the are I think the catalyst for trying to motivate them to understand what is existing and how they can build on it. So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a good segue to talk about, like, Selva, Ganesh, how do you do it? Because you were a teacher in the school, and then you started bird watching yourself, and they sort of followed you in that activity, and now you have an eBird account with about 80 contributors from your school, and you have a eBird hotspot in your school, and you're not even present over there, but the contributions and the activities go on without you. So how do you sustain this long-term engagement?
Yeah. For me, what I believe is, I follow my seniors or elders. So if you want to inspire the kids, you have to do it regularly, any work. So what I did in the beginning, I watch birds without, I won't force anyone in the beginning, not now also. So I will watch birds. They will slowly come to me. So what you are doing, because students know, they will very interested to know what their teachers know or what they are doing, and they will like their appearance, everything. If I like my own professor, he dressed very neatly. So I try to follow it, but it doesn't happen. So for students, they are keenly watching the teachers. They will interested to copy what they are doing. So I took that in my hand, and regularly I started birding. Slowly they came with me. So I walked with them to my school. There is nearly 1 kilometer stretch near my school. It's a reserve area, reserve forest. So during that walk, I teach them. I won't teach actually. I will give them the binoculars and the field guide. They will try to identify the bird. So for that, the early bird pocket guide was very much helpful for me in the initial stages. Then we used the 𝗔𝗯ance book and all. So after that, they slowly learning all the birds in my area. And my students, Hari Krishnan, Maithishwaran, and a lot of guys are very much interested in bird calls also. They are very much better than me. In identifying bird calls, because they are living with the birds. They're from the estate areas, so they are very, very good in identifying birds with the calls. So like that it started. After a few years, my students are slowly passing out, the older ones. So I was very much impressed by the younger kids' bird knowledge, because I never know them. My school is from 10 to 6th standard. It's a high school. So when I was when I get new batch students, they already know more than 10 birds. So I wondered how you know the birds. So they told that this Anna taught me this bird and all. So slowly generation started learning birds without my help. So that's what the secret. If you if the senior persons in the area know what bird it is, then slowly the next generation will know about the bird. That's what I believe. So like that it started. So it won't end, I guess, because now also they are my students from Valpare and they are studying in Tirupur and some other places. They are listing the birds from their present location. So I guess it will keep on going. And they have a small WhatsApp group and one Instagram page called 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗿𝘀 Valpare. So using that, they are get connected, and if they need any bird identification help and all, I will help them. And now we are in a plan because of the COVID. We couldn't meet regularly. After this month or the next month, we are planning for a regular bird walks in Valpare. That will be with all the other nearby school students and local peoples of Valpare. So that's what future also we have.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one really cool thing that I found when getting to know Selva Ganesh's work is he started his small group birding when he was there. Now he does not even live there anymore, and the older kids are teaching the younger kids, and it's being passed on organically. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. It's so difficult to achieve that, and it's happened so organically. That's really great. Now, Maxim, would you like to share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so birding is the most popular activity. That's why most of the nature educators or like they start from the birding. So that's why they are called like bird educators. So for me, it's like not just the birds are to be taught in the nature. It's like having the many other species as well. So it's very important to know other species and like ecosystem. And for everyone, it is as Selva Ganesh told. It's not the you can't forcefully you can't teach all these things, and it should be like the interest should come from their own, like from their heart. So yeah, so the
So
long-term efforts can be
sorry, go
yeah. So the long-term these are like short-term efforts, and everyone are not interested with birds. So we have to introduce them into multiple things in the nature. That's why I include everything in nature camps. So long run efforts can be done through as we do one day workshops. Like slowly we can change them into kind of a project. It's like a iNaturalist project where they can continuously upload their observation, and we have many multiple WhatsApp groups, and it's very important that we have to follow that, and we have to encourage them to do. And if we do some birding and if we keep sending the checklist in the group, so they also get motivated like, oh, this guy, like he's doing that, why we are not doing it? So they also get encouraged to do that. And I have seen many students do that, and few students, I think they are here. So they do that. So kind of that project, just not other eBird thing. So every time you also need to appreciate their each and every small efforts. So then only they get really they feel like doing it, they have done something great. So that's how we can work for a long run effort. Then one very important thing to add is like if many of these bird educators, I think they are teachers in some school. So if there is a school like 1 to 7 standard, and you have a 7 years, and if you start doing it from first standard, then you get a 7 great years in students' life. So if you can do something in 7 years, that will be more enough in the nature education. You don't need to do it very continuously or regularly. You can do like few programs in a year. That's more enough. I guess that will definitely help in a long run effort.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. So you do create activities and projects for them that they can use to watch birds in a deeper way or make deeper observations. Apart, like further than just identification or making checklists of the birds around you.
Yeah, we are trying to do that, but since they are small kids, sometimes they don't understand the next level cutting. but I guess slowly they start to understand, because recent 2 days back, one ninth standard student was asking me what is bird abundance, what is bird density, and all these things. So he was also questioning some of his like eBird data uploading, why I have to do 15 minutes list, why I have to do this many lists, and something like that. So I made him to read some articles, and that's how our conversation is moving. And I try to have a communication with most of these students. So because their interest is different, and we also find we need to find what is their interest. So we will think that we might be introduce them into birding, but they might not be just interested in birds, because some of my group students, they are actively involved in iNaturalist, and I don't know from where they got this information. So definitely they have been connected into these groups, actually helping them to connect to different people, because in group we might be adding different resource persons. So we ask them to please try to get connected with them. So that's how they try to connect all the other people, and that's how they try to learn.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that actually brings me to the next question that I had was, you have them birding and doing that continuously, but you have also managed to go from just birds to having them look at different aspects of their environment beyond birds. Like Maxim, you do mothing, which is the first time I heard that word. So mothing and herping, which is looking at reptiles, or biodiversity surveys. So was it easy to make this sort of progression from birds to looking at other aspects of their environment? Or was there any sort of significant turning point or milestone that you experienced when this happened? Or could you tell us a little bit about that aspect?
So as I told, like many things, like always, everyone is not interested in birds. So while we conduct some like nature education, we mostly try to conduct in 2 days, maybe one like overnight. So we stay. So every time you can't talk about birds like in the evening, night, and in the next morning also. So we divide the sessions in like discussing some different things. So night is a good time for going for looking for reptiles and amphibians. So we also try to give them a kind of a new experience, which is not like provided in most of the nature camps. So we try to do that, get more excitement into nature, so they also learn about them. And very important thing, after these kind of like reptile amphibian sessions and all, we got several rescue calls. So then only we could understand like all these many like snakes die every year, like kind of thing, because they don't have any idea what to do. Now they call many of us are like rescuers there, and they call them, including Raju sir and other team members. So that's how it helps in like conservation.
Okay, thank you. What about Nobina, Selva, Ganesh? Do you have anything to share on this point of how you move from bird watching to other aspects of
basically, like, bird watching, we started with the community, but of course we thought that it's important that, because East Kolkata Wetlands is at the periphery of the city, it's so important that the city also understands the importance of what they have, a treasure trove that exists around it. So we've started a eco trail recently, and for that we've actually trained the young community children as eco guides. So all that they've been researching with us, whether it's on the biodiversity, whether it's about the birds, so that is being actually incorporated as a part of it. And also their performances that they've been doing, they also do a wonderful bird calls, as you said earlier, and they have these performances. Those are all part of the eco trail. So people walk through and they experience the wetlands with the community children, explaining them about all the details, and also meeting the community, experiencing their hardships as well as reading. So I think it is very important that people relate to what exists around them at times, and somehow these bird education programs, whether it's with the children or with the these are not bird education programs, but we're trying to package it in a way that people find it easy and interesting. And because when earlier we used to do exhibitions in the city about wetlands, and when in a exhibition space, when I would say this is the wetland, even if they saw it's a 12,500 hectares of wetlands, no one would relate to it. But once you're in the space and you see that vastness of water bodies, you see how a fisherman actually gets into a fish pond to fish, or you see birds which just fly off from a bird or from a tree in bunches. You experience that and you understand that how the whole city really exists because of ecological treasure that exists there. And beside that, we're also making some sustainable products and using like waste from which exists there, like palm leaf weaving, which the women used to do, is dying off, but we're trying to make products out of it. And all the drawings that the children are doing, we're making postcards, bookmarks, putting those on the products. So these are also becoming as outreach, tools of engagement, tools of reaching out with the information about nature education and birds. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you.
So for me, a couple of my students got very much interested in art. So they started sketching bird images and posting in Instagram. They're coming up very well. And some of my students got interested into small insects and all. So we started one small iNaturalist project, and we named it as biodiversity of 𝗔𝗯𝘂𝘁, like that. And they started taking that in their mobile phone and uploading in that app. So bird is just a gate to enjoy the nature. So I think we have many more interest from other students, but unfortunately now I got transferred. So I hope the birding will thrive there.
I'm sure it will. You've brought them this far and they're sustaining themselves with teaching each other and passing on the practice as bird watching. It's almost become a part of their culture. Bird watching as a daily practice, and that's great. Actually, Selva, Ganesh, this question is specifically for you and the work that you have done. You have, so as you said, you have this eBird hotspot, and you have these 80 to 100 children contributing observations to an eBird hotspot on a daily basis. So there must be so many questions and curiosity, and how do you manage that level of engagement on a daily basis and then funneling that into eBird checklists or observations or citizen science on a daily basis?
So it's a really hard work for me, but it's very interesting because they saw some new bird. They will sketch that bird, or they will draw the outline of the bird, and they will come and describe me what bird it is. So sometimes I know the bird, sometimes I don't know the bird. So what I will do is if I know the bird, I will give them the book. In that book, it is the Birds of Indian Subcontinent by 𝗔𝗯𝘂𝘁. You can get all the birds now. So they will slowly flipping the pages. Everything will happen not during the school hours. It will be during the break or after the school. So otherwise we will have some issues in the school management. So they will keep on flipping the pages, and they will identify the birds. So if they identify, they will get very much excited, and mostly they will maintain a checklist note. In that note, I and my mentor Jagan sir told them how to how to write a checklist. They will write the date, time, place, and the duration, and whether it's a traveling list or a stationary list, and the species name and the species count also they will written. So when I have time or free period, I will upload everything in under 𝗔𝗯𝘂𝘁 school account and upload it into the eBird hotspot. So like that we do. If they did that list from their house, we will have each house, each area, each estate, we have a specific location called some estate or village, like that. So I will pin that location and upload their checklist. I will verify each and every bird before uploading. Sometimes the kids may misidentify some birds, so I will ask them some few questions to correct it. If possible, they will record the bird call and they will send it to me. Most of the times they will draw the outlines, or they will just describe me how the bird was. So like that it happened. But during that festivals, great backyard bird count or endemic bird day, like the days we will do it very rigorously. But some other day they will keep their checklist note with them. I told them that once you get adult, or once you no to identify more than 100 species on your own, you start one account and upload by yourself. Because everything we couldn't upload. It's very huge
Right.
task. Maxim know that because he old historical list also.
Yes, I did hear that Maxim was doing that and helping people out of that. Thank you. That's great. That's really good to know. And actually, this is a question to Maxim about your work. If anybody missed that in Maxim's introduction, they have, I think it was Kasaragod, the road, Maxim.
Yes, interested in Pigeon Road.
Yeah, so I want to ask you a bit about that because that's just fantastic. He's there, the community, and with I'm sure Maxim's leadership, they have got the Kasaragod Birders have got a road in their community renamed to Orange-breasted green pigeon road. And I think there was a picture of it in their slides, and that must take a very deep level of community engagement and support. So can you share a little bit about the role that the community played in that process? Did you even start out thinking we want to rename this road, or how did it happen? And can you just tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So when we started birdwatching in Kasaragod, so we also we were trying to build the network, so at the same time we also got some birders from 𝗦𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, so including Raju sir and like other people in the village. There were some kids students there, but they are not active right now. So that's what I mentioned earlier, like everyone is not will be there continuously doing all this effort. But by then, we also came with the concept of Kidur Bird Festival, an annual event. So, we had a bird called orange-breasted green pigeon, and earlier there was no reports from Kasaragod, and it's still a place in Kasaragod where you get for several months, and there is no other place that I know where we can surely see the bird. And many people bird watchers, photographers from different parts of India came there, and they have taken the photographs. And by seeing this, the village people are quite excited, what's happening with what bird is, what speciality we see every time here. So yeah, so we wanted to do something else. We are just doing bird watching, we are collecting just data and uploading to eBird. So we want something else to do from that. And that's what made Raju Kidur came with the concept of why we can't rename a road to a bird name. So there are roads with the several people's name, some politicians and all. Why we can't have a bird name? So people can even remember the bird, and they know what is that bird. And if I go to some other place and I'm going to see a specific, some very special bird, and I might go and ask with the villager, where is this bird found? What do you know about it? And they might be knowing or may not know. So we want to make sure that that village people know about the bird. So so here multiple levels of people have worked on it, because from the inspiration of thoughts to the bringing it outside. So people of bird watchers and people from the village and their support. And of course, it has to be gone to the departments like biodiversity committee and 𝗔𝗯𝐴. And from there, they also agreed with this, this is something very interesting, and they were agreed for that. And that's how, in 2000, I think 19, it was renamed as Orange-breasted green pigeon road. You're mute. You're mute. Hello, Shonali. We can't hear you.
Sorry, that's amazing. I was saying that you'll have in your own individual spaces brought birds and nature not only into the culture and traditions, but also into the city planning of your neighborhoods. That's really a truly amazing story. I really enjoyed reading about that. So we're actually coming to the end of our session. I have one more question for Nobina, and after that we will open out the discussion to the audience. If you all have any questions about the theme of today's session, or for Nobina, Selva, Ganesh, or Maxim, you can please post them in the chat, or just prepare them, and then we can unmute you. If you can raise your hand and ask the question once we open it out. But my final question, Nobina, is about from the because you've been working in the villages in the East Kolkata wetlands for many years now, and maybe the nature and bird education has come out more strongly only in the last maybe year or couple of years. So how can you, have you observed any change in the way that the children, youth, even the adults or the community as a whole, like how they perceive their environment? Have you observed any changes in the way that they perceive and respond to their environment because of these new activities?
Yes, one basic thing that has happened is at times, that's what I was earlier saying, the connectivity was not very clear to them. Even in wetlands, the birds, they would always, in the morning, if you go, you'll see that they would like drive the birds away, because they would feel that that is something, like in all the 𝗷𝗀𝗃𝗁, we call them, they would come and eat the fish. So that is one thing that they will be very what to say, anticipating, like, birds are not good for their ecosystem. So somewhere that has been a big thing that the whole program has brought into notice, that how birds are very important in the ecosystem and why they have to, and the variety, like, the children would say that, I'm just quoting them in Bengali because that's,
Sure, yeah.
আমি তো বগরোজি দেখতাম, মানে the egret or any other bird that they see now, they would see it every day, but they would never think that that's something to be observed at, that there's something very important, or there's something special about that. So now by through the education program, they've been able to really identify the different varieties. Someday there'll be a call suddenly and saying, ma'am, I saw this particular bird today, and they'll be so excited about it because they've read now through the early bird flashcards. They've known about these birds, they know what characters they have, and they're trying to learn more and more. So it's a kind of inquiry that has been built within them. That's one basic thing which is interesting. And of course the community is now more earlier they would try threads over the wetlands, so that on the water bodies, so that when the birds would come to take the fish, but then those threads would actually hurt the wings of the birds, so that would be bad for them. So we've been trying to put this in their minds, and now the whole practice is changing, and they're trying to do other innovative things. They're putting tin cans which they could bang, they could make music out of it, drive them away. So these the other thing that has happened is also the dreams and aspiration of children. At times, we've always seen that the children would say that you would like to do things which children do in cities would be their future that they would imagine at. But now through the nature education programs, they see that also nature education or environmental science could be a line which they could think about as future. They could be birders, they could be guides, there would be many other professions that they could go into, bridging their school education, because these are first generation learners who really have no clue, because their parents at times feel that they go to school and they will never pursue what they have been doing all these years. But then what they have been doing is the knowledge, and that is one of the very biggest knowledge that exists. And somehow technology is something that could be used as a positive, because mobile is something that is entering all these rural spaces. How do you use technology in a positive way? How do you really do research through your mobiles instead of looking into videos and other things? How could you? So these kind of like connectivities which the program has brought in, I think the parents are very happy also, and the community is trying to look into other aspects which could help in building their strength and their keep their traditions intact, rather than moving out into, because people, the younger generation is usually moving out into other professions, and even not finding any space in the other, the bigger world, because there's so much of competition. So somehow that honor, that pride, that acknowledgement, that where we stand, and now they can proudly, they would be proud to say that, yes, my father is a fisherman, yes, my father is, my mother is a rat picker, or we live in the wetlands, and the wetlands actually host so many species. So and then when in the eco trails, people would come and take pictures, talk to them, have an exchange, they would really understand that, yes, this is something to be valued out. This is something that they should not feel that they live in a rural space, that the Kolkata that they see across is the dream aspiration that they have to live for. So I think that is
Wow.
one thing that we really feel is the change.
That's fantastic. That's really a great achievement to change that perception just through these activities.
And
Yes.
another thing that is happening is we're trying to impart the girls mostly. All our eco guides, I don't know if we didn't really think of, but then the girls have been more proactive in our in the space, and we have a whole team of girls who've been totally on the forefront, doing different kinds of activities, whether it's culture, whether it's environmental, like archiving things. And I think it's nice to see that somehow within the society, the parents are also feeling confident to let the girls go out, do a lot of things, like instead of just thinking of their marriage and not thinking about what their future might hold, but thinking of how their education and all these programs could help them, maybe bring bring more hope to them. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. That's a great note to, I think, end my questions at least. Thank you guys so much for sharing and being a part of this conversation and kicking this off with us. I would like to open the discussion to our audience. If you'll have any questions, please to any of the three speakers or about the theme, that would be great to discuss. You all can raise your hands and we can unmute you, or you can type them in the chat as well. And or Abhishek or Misha, are there any questions that have already come in the chat that we can take?
Yeah, so there was one question from Akshata in the chat, and they say, isn't it important to educate older people other than children about conservation or engage them in nature education? Or does that not make a big difference?
Would anybody like to respond to that? Yeah, Selva, Ganesh.
Yes, it's very, very important because we are just working mostly with the younger generations. At the same time, already many people's like in Coimbatore Nature Society, and in Salem Ornithological Foundation, many people in Chennai, Madras Nature Society, everyone is working on it, but this is not enough. So we need more and more regional groups to work on conservation works with senior peoples. The problem is the older peoples couldn't afford time for these things. They are always running behind family works and other things. So if some teams work on this, it will be great. For example, in Coimbatore, the Coimbatore Nature Society taking all kind of peoples for regular bird walks. Like that in Salem, they have in contact with many government officials. Most of them were a member of the group. They are working on it. If more number of government peoples and officials and other important persons aware about the nature and the conservation, it will be a great work, great help to the nature. So we have to work hard to make the older peoples involving in this kind of works. Anything from you guys, Maxim or Nobina?
You're completely right. The thing that happens is at time, what you're saying is the older generation is not very, they would not reciprocate in actively into the work, but somehow, somewhere, if we can bridge this younger generation with the older generation, and if they can actually hold their hands together, have an exchange on what the observations that the earlier generation had, or what knowledge that they can share with these young kids, I think that could be one way. And the other thing that also helps us at times is the cultural aspect. So we use music, folk music, we use drawing, things which or the customs and things that they do in their daily day-to-day life. We try to bridge that into the educational program. Like maybe recently there's one festival known as 𝗔𝗯ance, where they make a big crocodile. And the way the children did is they made a clay crocodile and put palm seeds onto it as scales. And it was such a beautiful installation to see. And then we talked about around that. So maybe it is not related to, in their practice, it is there, but then they do not relate it to the nature education or any sense of that. But then that was our starting point. And from there we built. So somewhere, something which the older generation has been doing could be a connection point to really see how we can talk about more further from there.
Yeah, Definitely. Thank you. Maxim, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so it's actually a big topic to discuss. So I'll be mostly doing. I'm interested with the kids for very many reasons. So from my experience, when I work with when we work with the community in like regional base, when we work with the older people, so our ideas are not compatible with them. So we will be having some ideas with the younger generations which are not compatible to them, and they might have their own ideas which are not compatible to us. So we'll be having clash or kind of a discussion with them. And for giving an example, it's a very simple example that I wanted to give is like when you go and tell about differentiating a wolf snake with a cry snake. It's very hard to tell with the older people. They won't believe it. They won't. They will tell like, oh, both are like venomous. You try to convince in any way. They have that very old knowledge that it's already fixed in their mind. So it's very difficult to change it. But if you start with the kids, they will be learning more better than any others. Like even the scales and like what are those scales, how to differentiate, and they take the photograph and they send us with telling like this is the idea of the species. So that's why I feel more working with the younger people, and it's very easy, more easier than those people.
Yeah, it's definitely easier to work with kids because they're more naturally curious, and with adults, I think they're already hardwired, and there's more unlearning than learning when you're engaging with adults. But I think also Nobina made a good point about if we can integrate it into the culture that they are familiar with, maybe they would be more receptive, or it's easier for them to integrate it into their lives and thinking. Thank you. I'll just check if there are more questions. If anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand and you can just ask the question as well.
Yeah, so by raising hand, I think Shonali means that using the reaction button,
Certainly.
because everybody's videos are off. So
yeah, there's
in the reaction section, you can choose to raise your hand and we can unmute you. But we have another question, Shonali.
Okay.
So this question goes, since school teachers are here, I would like to know the inclusion of bird-related things in school curriculum.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this is for Selva Ganesh.
Yes, I think that would be.
Can you repeat the question, please?
So they're asking, they would like to know the inclusion of bird-related things in the school curriculum. What is taught in school, in the curriculum itself?
So since I'm from educational department, it's really a hard task, but we are slowly, myself and Ganesh were slowly trying to do that in Tamil Nadu region, because here we are following state syllabus. We have a state board syllabus. So in that, once in a while in science and other subjects, in English particularly and Tamil also, we have lessons which is related to birds. In 10th standard, we have one first lesson is about seagull. The name is his first flight, like that. So we are trying to include that, but we are trying in another ways also. Like in our Tamil Nadu, we have a national green corps. So through them, we are approaching the governments to try to implement bird watching and season watching to all the schools. So like that in Salem, they are in tie-up with the Teacher Education University. So they are training the teachers. In future, I guess they are working with the teachers. So if you train the teachers, and because teachers only framing the curriculum, teachers and other higher officials who are in future they will get promoted and they will design the curriculum. So the seniors, they are trying to their levels. We have to work a lot, and I slowly started now with a person who is close to me. He's in the curriculum department. He's designing the curriculum. So slowly we can include that. But the thing is, they already, like Maxim said, the senior persons are already in their setup. It's very hard to convince them and bringing them to our ideas. So I hope we will work very soon. Let's see. So everything begin from the lower level, then we have to approach there. Or if the person from the higher official got very much interested in bird watching and all, he can implement anything. So let's see.
Wanted to comment that Ganesh is here as well. Ganesh, would you like to say something about this question?
Hi everyone. Yeah, thank you, Garima. So it's been a wonderful session. So I joined a little 15 minutes late, as I was actually very much looking forward to this session. So I think I would like to add. I think one of the participants asked, "Is it very important to educate the adults?" So this is where I feel the greater challenge lies. So because whenever we work with children, so that's been really easy. So because they are so curious to learn new things, and you can just mold them in a very natural way. So the challenge comes, there is a lot of resistance among teachers and adults in these kind of activities. So we have been able to create some sort of impact in schools where at least one teacher like Selva Ganesh should be interested. So only in those places we were able to make an impact. So right now what we are trying to do is, so regarding the school curriculum, we are working closely with the school education department at the secretariat level actually. So I'm trying to get birding and citizen science as a at least one page. If these things get into their textbook lessons, so teachers will be more welcoming of the activities that is taken from outside by us. So unless or until if things don't get into the school curriculum and textbooks, so all these things what we do will be considered as extracurricular or whatever that we can do it in free time. So these are the things that we are trying to address. So and the approach always works from the top down. So it is very time consuming. It is very exhausting piece of work to work with the officials. Sometimes on months together, months in the end, you hardly get any results out of what to which you have been putting all your efforts into. And suddenly one day things pop up and everything goes as planned. So it's, the thing is we'll have to continually keep putting efforts and hope for the best. Thank you everyone, and thanks to all three of the speakers for their very inspiring work and talk, and thanks to Early Bird as well. Thank you.
Great, that's excellent, Ganeshwar. Thank you for those insights. We have two participants who've raised their hand. So I'll just ask them to unmute themselves one by one so that they can ask their questions. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a great, it's a good session in the evening. I feel happy to be a part of this session. And so I would like to share one thing that I'm Dr. 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗿𝘀, who is working as an assistant professor in Madurai Kamaraj University. And we are doing some birding along with the senior people also, as well as the children. And so we are working, some people we are working in the curriculum refinement also. So if I think Selva Ganesh, we are ready to join with you to include some of the new things in the curriculum of school, because I'm involving in TANSCI also, Tamil Nadu Higher Education Council also. So that in that view, Selva Ganesh and other participants of this program, you are most welcome. We are ready to work with you related to the inclusion of curriculum, related to the birds and other things. And so thank you. Just to inform that I raise my hand. That's all.
Thank you very much. I just we'll have one more question, but before that, just want to say that we have a very short feedback form that we've posted the link in the chat. I think Garima has posted it. Do please fill that out before you decide to leave, because that will help us plan future sessions and make sure these engagements are really work for all of you. We have one question from Anita. I think Anita, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, everybody. I was just listening to this webinar. Actually, it is through Maxim that we are here right now. So I have been going through Early Bird's website also, and like great to see the materials, everything over there, and especially the book that has come down. Just start with, I would like to say that it was just Maxim who supported us. We are in Kasaragod, the northern part of Kerala. So here, it was just before COVID, we had conducted a camp wherein Maxim had come down, and then during when the COVID struck, I think the kids and me too. For me too, it was the first time I work as assistant professor in one of the universities here. So when it was during the COVID times, when there wasn't much things to get engaged in, right? So we started taking care, all of us started coming to the fields. I think otherwise we wouldn't spend much time in the fields down here. Like houses are a little bit apart from the fields here. But after we started the birding program, we started coming to the fields almost alternative days during the COVID times. And then when now after the COVID times, it's like we are continuing with it with Sunday birding. And we have a WhatsApp group where Maxim and Rajusa, all the experts from Kasaragod Birders, they support us. Kasaragod Birders again is a team that has been started by Maxim. So they continue to support us with all the programs. Now we do conduct, even we had slowly started conducting camping programs for the children. And the children, like Maxim said, our students are encouraged to write notes, field notes and observation notes. And so now they are also doing that. So though not the larger group of children, a few have fallen back, but we still have a small group who are still keen in this, and they continue to do so. Even at this moment, we are on the Sunday birding program. Like we are in our fields doing the Sunday birding. So thanks. I mean, it's great to hear the accounts from all around India, and all the best for the Early Birds programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And I think with this, we will close this session for today. I just want to thank everybody for making time out to be here. And please note that thank you, Nobina, Maxim, and Selva, Ganesh. It was really nice to learn about your work and have you share it with people. And I'm sure it has, from the comments in the chat, it has really made an impression. And we really hope to stay in touch. And like I said earlier, this is the first in what we hope will be a longer series to engage with nature educators on the topic of bird education in an Indian context. So please stay with us for this series. And because this is a long-term series, so we have a small feedback form to get to know what you all would expect in this series so that we can make this relevant to all of us who are part of this big community. So please take some time to fill that out. And there are some other links in the chat as well to our social media. So connect with us and yeah, stay in touch with us, and I hope we'll see you all soon again. Thank you.